Welcome back to Hockey Thoughts with Scott. This is the sixth video in the series talking about the #1 overall pick in the NHL Draft, giving the team the ability to draft Alexis Lafreniere. This team that we're going to be talking about is a team most people don't want to necessarily talk about, but we're going to have to, and that's the Pittsburgh Penguins, because they are involved in this process. Now, at times, they looked uninterested when they were playing against the Montreal Canadiens. So there's something wrong with this team. But let's talk about how Pittsburgh could utilize that #1 overall pick in this situation. Now, when you take a look at their forwards, they've got arguably very good forwards. Maybe one of the better forward cores in the league, even with Malkin and Crosby in their early to mid 30s at this point. You can make that argument that they're still there. They're still good. Something's not right with that group. Not sure exactly what that is. So if they were to get the #1 pick, they would obviously take, I would obviously think they would take Lafreniere, probably playing with Crosby, or not Crosby, with Malkin on the second line. Continue to have Brian Rust, Jake Guentzel on that first line, Brian Rust on the second line. If I recall that off the top of my head from last year, I think Lafreniere would fit in there quite nicely. But this is another team, like the Winnipeg Jets that we talked about in our last video, that maybe it makes sense for them to trade that pick and to trade down a couple slots, pick up a couple additional pieces. Because when you start to take a look at what they've got coming down the line in the future, from a prospect standpoint, and in addition, they got to sign both their goalies. So when you take a look at their forward prospects, they got a couple good forward prospects in the system. Again, nothing that screams out that says this guy's going to be great. But let's put it this way: the Penguins have found good players that may not be highly touted. See Jake Guentzel, see Brian Rust for two of those. When you start taking a look at their defense, Pierre-Olivier Joseph came over from the Arizona Coyotes. Still, it's probably going to be in that mix to replace a guy like a Justin Schultz, who probably is not going to be back next year with the club. So he'll slide in. But again, when you start taking a look at high-end prospects, Pittsburgh has traded a lot of their assets over the years, and including this coming year's first-round pick, provided it's not the #1 pick. So if it is the #1 pick, it may be in Pittsburgh's interest to trade back to get a later first, maybe get a second, start recouping some of the pieces they've traded over the years as they've gone and made their Stanley Cup runs. Their pick was traded to the Minnesota Wild, who we'll be talking about in our next video. If the Penguins win the first overall pick, they have 7 days to indicate that they're going to use it. They'd be foolish if they didn't, which would defer their first-round pick to 2021 to go to Minnesota unconditionally. Very similar to the situation that Ottawa had with Colorado, San Jose had this year with Ottawa. With that said, these are my thoughts on the Pittsburgh Penguins getting the first overall pick in the NHL Draft. If you agree or disagree, please leave your comments below. Please subscribe to the channel. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. I appreciate you watching this. Thanks for watching this. See you next time.